Hafaday, Guahu si Tori Manley. Welcome to The Environment and Us. For this series, my biggest goal is to add on to the movement of Chamorro culture. The biggest value I hope to share with you is that your individual impact matters. Your rise in consciousness, consideration, hope, and sustainable living. So basically all the good things. Our first barrier when it comes to the environment and us. So let's imagine a scenario. Let's say you're not satisfied with your current living situation. Let's think of your current living situation and what are some ways you want to see improvements, but you're not sure how to get there. There's so many problems about our situation that we can see, but sometimes we're not sure what the situations are. The first barrier is lack of awareness. Let's stack on some crazy statistics to make you feel like we have an immense problem on our hands. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, the average American consumer creates 4.9 pounds of trash per person per day. That's respectfully like carrying a newborn baby every day of the week. Imagine stacking the weight of one newborn baby to carry every day of the week. Looking at the Citizens Report by the Guam Solid Waste Authority, as of 2022, the Ladson landfill has serviced 96,903 tonnages, or in pounds, that can translate to 217,062,720 pounds of waste our island generates as of 2022. When I say our island, I mean Guam. That's just one landfill, and this doesn't include other factors like calling for abandoned cars or taking your truck to the service station. Here's some important facts for air pollution. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, air pollution is one of the greatest environmental risks to health. By reducing air pollution levels, countries can reduce the burden of disease from stroke, heart disease, lung cancer, and both chronic and acute respiratory diseases, including asthma, some 89%, and the greatest number in the WHO, Southeast Asia, and Western Pacific regions. Guam is number 7 in the world per capita to have the most trash, 7th in the world per capita to have the most trash generated. So lack of awareness can sometimes mean we know what the problems are, but sometimes we just don't know what the solutions are, or what to ask, or where to look for these problems. We as a people want greater standard for living conditions, and means you get deeper into your personal power. A lack of awareness, by definition, is the failure to be able to see beyond your thoughts. It means you can't grasp the impact of your emotions, your actions, and your behaviors. So let's make up a scenario. I'm hoping this is very relatable. Do you remember that one time, maybe it was your coworker at work said something insensitive one day and they didn't seem to understand or know what they said really hurt your feelings? You excused them and you just said that they're just like that. They might have had a lack of awareness that their behaviors and actions had an effect on the people around them. That is the power of awareness. Awareness can lead to huge monumental changes. Just like your coworker, when they hurt your feelings, they didn't realize how much impact their individual action had. And I have to let you know, you have so much power. Your choices, how you feel about yourself, and the world has a ripple effect. This ripple effect from every individual can guide what's culturally acceptable and how fast we can make these changes for a better Pacifica. Lack of awareness is such a huge barrier. It's not just about understanding the information and impact society has on nature, pollution, and planet degradation. If everyone felt comfortable in their personal power, we could make great strides in systematic changes that everyone can raise a standard of living. Imagine if you found a way to let your coworker know that they impacted you in a negative way, and then they could begin to know the impact of their emotions and actions and behaviors. So now what? Now we've learned about this boundary. The lack of awareness is one boundary. What do we do within ourselves to make positive individual actions? I'm calling you. Step into your personal power. For me, it means creativity, curiosity, education, creating innovative solutions, and loving yourself and other people to make these changes. It could be different for each respected individual. The idea of more outstanding education, creativity, and possibilities is an absolute must and will ensure our sustainability and mitigation from pollution. How in the world does this all fit? Here's an exercise I invite you to participate in. Your call to action for individual impact. I would like you to reflect how much of your day is automatic. How much of your day feels like you're on autopilot to get through the day? A lot of people use single-use plastics without even realizing that they're doing it. It's become automatic, a habit. If you have some moments in your day, I want you to take a pen and paper and write about all the times you felt like doing something good, but you didn't because it was out of your comfort zone or it's considered weird. I bring up these two concepts together. Sometimes what we do is automatic, and sometimes what we want to do is out of what is automatic. For example, if you see trash somewhere, carry it until you find a trash can. Sometimes that's not possible, or sometimes we could be worried someone will look at us weird. It's against the grain of social norm. Small actions like building the awareness within ourselves can gain traction, and we can begin culturally normal behavior, like having clean streets can lead to habits of awareness. Be open to subjects and topics that you find interesting. Gain curiosity. Be enthusiastic about having questions. This is the start of making some serious changes. Be the change you want to see in the world. And it starts with curiosity. Let's go on to the second barrier. You're getting ready for this adventurous day of buying things. Imagine you've prepped things for your day in your bag to go full-on shopping. You drive to the shopping mall, you dismount from your car, and you're ready. But shockingly, at 5:30 in the morning, there's already 30 people in line at your favorite store. And this store opens at 10 a.m. What gives? All of these fabulous customers are waiting for the best deals, the bargains. They're ready to go tooth and nail for the last $1 brand name shirts. Imagine this scenario, the anticipation, the prep work, the excitement, the experience someone gains when it comes to intense Black Friday shopping. Why did I come up with this scenario? The next barrier is overconsumption. We're going to talk about how to be less of a consumer. The word consumer from Latin means to use up, to eat, or waste. According to one research article, I quote, shopping can be an important source of self-expression, self-definition, or therapy. However, if it becomes uncontrolled or excessive, it becomes problematic. Compulsive buying is an uncontrollable urge that repeatedly compels a person to buy in order to bring temporary relief from psychological distress arising from depression or low self-esteem. As a result, compulsive shoppers buy items they do not need and cannot afford. Typically, they feel guilty about succumbing to their urges and often suffer financial harm, end quote. It's also affected by our political status as Americans, where consumerism is the common culture in everyday life, and it's often encouraged. Consumerism in the Western world often sells as a lifestyle or idea.
If you buy this, you will be happy. You will be enough. You will be loved. You will be blissful.
I want to share a vision. For what you love and what you need, I envision your space, your rooms, your kitchen, your home, filled with your favorite things that serve you in the capacity that you need. No longer filled with dread about something you were supposed to take care of, or items that you used to have that were hobbies, or things that you bought that you no longer enjoy. I want you to invite items into your space that bring good memories, happiness, and is functional in the capacity that you need. I envision you where your nerves feel peace and you're able to focus on things, experiences, and people you love. Remember, being a conscious individual takes baby steps. So here are some simple baby steps for calls to action. Number 1, A trash audit. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's exploring your trash and becoming aware of what single-use plastic things you throw away, how much of these single-use throwaways can be replaced with reusable items. I bring up a trash audit because it could be less emotionally charged than asking you to take a look at your room and your space. But if you're ready, here's another activity inspired by the concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Another reiteration of this famous green triangle of eco-consciousness is repair, regift, or retire. Repair what you own. It's important to see what in your space needs fixing. Buying new items should be an absolute last resort. This saves resources in your finances, in our earth, and can bring you major empowerment. You can take up a new skill on how to fix a particular item. The internet has a plethora of ways to do so. You can find someone who knows how to repair it, or you can do it yourself. Regift. A few great ideas is to host a clothing swap, a shoe swap, host an event where people can bring their unwanted, pre-loved items and it could be traded, swapped, completely given. Be sure that these items are in good condition. Items you would be happy to be on the receiving end of. Collaborate with people and together you can save money. And by coming together as a community, we are decolonizing by spending time together. If no one wants a few items at the end of your event, you or someone else can volunteer to take it to your favorite thrift store or nonprofit that will accept these items. Regifting can also look like agreeing with friends and family members on not buying new items and wrapping your pre-loved items into a gift. The next are retire. Sometimes if an item cannot be reduced, reused, recycled, rotted and compost, repaired, regifted, the final option is to retire this item, like dispose of it. It's important to pay attention to what you buy. Make it a point to change your habits. That also comes with awareness. Changing habits is recognizing what kind of habits can we adjust for a more sustainable us, a sustainable society. Something as small as bringing your own cups and utensils and refusing single-use plastics. Every decision matters, no matter how small. You are empowered to utilize the good now that you couldn't reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, regift, compost. You've retired an item, and now your last option is to buy something new. Ask yourself these questions before purchasing anything new. Can you borrow it? Is this something that you can find on Facebook or on other social media platforms? Can you buy this item used? Can you make this item? How long do you see yourself having this item? Are there any sustainable brands that have this item for you to buy? Do you absolutely need and love this item? And finally, what will happen to this item when I'm done with it? Are there ways to recycle it? Can I upcycle it into something else? Is it biodegradable? Can it be turned into compost? Or is it a scrap metal that could be recycled? Getting used to asking yourself important questions about what you buy is part of building awareness and consciousness as to where your money goes. These suggested activities is a lot like building a new muscle. Over time, everything will get easier and easier. Let's get on to this next barrier. So let's imagine a scenario. If you're on social media watching videos, there's one particular video that I think of when I think of this barrier. Imagine a white woman at the grocery store. She has her basket of goods, and it's finally her time to process her items. Find everything you need today? The cashier asks, and she nods polite. She puts the item on the conveyor belt, and you hear beep, oh, beep, gut-wrenching, queasing convulsions. Beep, oh God. Apathetic. The cashier sees this reaction to prices day in and day out. By habit, he asks, everything okay? You've only scanned a few items and it's already $60. Ma'am, I'm a trained professional. I've scanned a lot of these items. I need you to stay with me now. She begins to self-soothe. She tries to stay calm. She explains why she needs to get these items. A charcuterie board is needed for her in-laws. He continues scanning the items. Beep, 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 and the prices skyrocket. By the end of the video, she is screaming while paying, and the cashier says, I promise you it looks like a lot, but once you get home, you'll wonder, what did I even buy? End scene. When it comes to cost and affordability, let's talk about food. According to the scientist Bushra Belhaj Abdallah, who is an environmental scientist, she also focuses on air pollution and is a food expert. She talks about inflating prices on sustainable products. And in her article, I quote, this is this title, Barrier to the Implication of Sustainability Practices Among Nations. She says, sustainable products with environmental or social benefits are generally priced higher than their conventional counterparts. This trend is often referred to as the substitution effect. Whereas the price of a product increases, people tend to opt for cheaper alternatives, leading to a decline in sales of sustainable products as it is still unaffordable. It's still unaffordable. End quote. So what's not cheap? Food, groceries. And remember that woman in the video when we were first talking about this? Let's go into the statistics of food waste. According to the Guam Citizen Report for the Municipal Solid Waste Authority, over 44% of Guam's waste is food. 44% of it is being thrown away. Let's paint a picture in our mind. Imagine that one child or adult in your life that you absolutely love, but they never finish their food. It's okay if they don't want to finish it. I encourage these beautiful people to put their food in leftover containers. When we put our food in leftover containers, when we are unable to finish our meals, we are honoring our body and our earth by listening to how much our good body needs. Some people genuinely eat less. Some people genuinely eat more. But if there is a worry of overconsumption, overeating, this is a food suggestion I really, really enjoy. So when we eat, we can easily overeat. And it's usually because we're distracted. Sometimes we're on our phone, watching a movie, or rushing to eat just to get back to work. So allow yourself to stop eating a few bites before you get full. So imagine that thought that you have in your head where you say, I could take one more bite and then I'll be full. Try to stop a few bites before that phase. You can reduce the amount you eat without having an uncomfortable experience, which is super important. I want to encourage kindness to you and for you to extend that kindness to your body by eating to a capacity or a fullness to what feels like 80%. 80% for you. You'll eat the right amount for your body and you'll begin to gain consciousness of how you'll nourish yourself. So with this 80% full, we can reduce our food waste and always be sure to pack gluten for people. Use reusable containers. Let's normalize reusable containers. Yes. Nourishing yourself is also a part of the cost and affordability of sustainable living. So it looks like growing what we can, supporting farmer co-ops, learning new levels of sustainable living. Those were the three main barriers when it comes to sustainability, which is awareness, how to be less of a consumer, and cost and affordability. For this next section of this podcast, we'll be talking with Joiel. Joiel is from the nonprofit organization called Mañe'lu, which helps empower adults and children for a better life. So in this meeting, we discussed collaboration with Mañe'lu and other organizations, and I've asked him if collaboration can help agencies. A note I want to make it abundantly clear that I am learning. I am learning, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm still learning and that I have the intentions of love and kindness for this podcast episode. So, I've asked if we have permission to record the meeting, and then we continued our meeting.
Mhm.
So, when you collaborate with other agencies through the grants, is there always a push for collaboration when it comes to obtaining grants and then meeting the needs of people? And
Oh,
is it also a
definitely.
requirement?
Yes, so most of the grants that we apply for, it could be like even as being recipients of different grants, we objectives or goals that we try to aim for. One of the good example is to reach the communities in low to moderate income housing. And
Mhm.
then a good collaboration in that sense will be like the Gura AMP managers or Gura itself, right?
Mhm.
So we're able to collaborate with them to target those the community in the low to moderate income housing areas, or even like in zero down or different communities on Guam.
So when it comes to like climate change, it's like a huge conversation when it comes to our islands, and people say that we're like the forefront of climate change. Do a lot of people from their home island transfer from their home island because of different negative impacts of climate change?
Oh, definitely. I know personally of some of my family members, they did move from the outer islands in Chuuk coming
Uh-huh.
to Guam because of maybe their source of food, like their farms or their crops. They're getting it's not as good as before because of the rise of the ocean,
Mhm.
and it's damaging their crops, and also the corals. Also, there's a lot of bleaching of the corals back home. So a lot of people,
Mhm.
they migrate from different places to different places. Some of if it goes to the extent where they have nowhere to go but to seek better life by moving abroad to come to Guam or to Hawaii or abroad to the States.
Wow, that hurts
Mhm,
to hear. So sorry, that really sucks.
mhm.
Um, so I wrote some questions down. So if my hypothesis for collaboration were true, would your organization benefit from the data that collaboration with other organizations could make an impactful difference? And
Yes.
would it help with speedy policies and results that you're looking for through collaboration?
hmm There's this term that we always use, even the like people we work with or our clients, especially they would refer to as the system. The system, the process is very long.
Mhm.
It takes time, right? I think it's because instead of just going to one destination, they will go to different offices to
Yeah.
get the services that they need. So I think a established collaboration between different offices or agencies, nonprofit organization, it'll help that lengthy process of the system to
Uh-huh.
make it a little bit faster. So definitely it'll benefit the our services. It'll benefit the people that we work with, our clients, and also with our partners and then their clients as well. So I believe it's a very important thing that we should move forward with or have something like what you're doing, because I really believe that collaboration is very important, that we should all the different agencies, non-government, non-governmental agencies, even businesses to help in the sense of how we can benefit to help the people or help our island of Guam, right? Not even just on Guam, people within Micronesia from CNMI. So it was really beautiful to see that instead of just focusing on Guam, there's also, if you look outside of the lens of just the struggles that we're facing on Guam, there's a lot of problems happening regional or within Micronesia. So those are the ways to kind of also help Guam and also help our region, because I believe collaborating with the different islands, also different region, will also help us learn how we can better Guam and better the islands together.
Wow. This is exciting. This really does say that like collaboration could be impactful. What are some services that you provide? Oh wait, so yes, other services that are climate related. So you mentioned like language barriers. You've mentioned is there easier ways for them to come here from their homeland to here? Like do some of them have problems getting the funding to get here?
I think funding is a problem, but it's like a long-term goal where, family they send some family members to come to
Hmm.
Guam or abroad, and then they would work, and then slowly they will start purchasing their tickets. So that one's like a long-term goal,
Okay.
and then at the same time, it's a little bit of a problem. But I think one of the biggest problem that I would say is when they come here, and then uh you mentioned about cultural shock in the beginning, right? It's that
Yeah.
thing also, the cultural shock, and having them to learn the different lifestyle from back where they come from to Guam or abroad, because it's more, I would say, like Western culture, or a
Very
culture that
Western. Yeah.
is it's very blended. Like there's a lot of different cultures here on Guam, because Guam is like it's a beautiful island with beautiful cultures. So, and also there's like different, like just talking about infrastructure, traffic light example. There's no traffic light in some of the islands, right? So we have to learn to adapt to a new lifestyle, and I think that's one of the biggest struggle comes with that is the language access, right? Because of course, um, back in the some of the islands, maybe English is not really it's not the first language, but they do speak English in some of the islands, but it's not as on Guam where it's like everybody speaks English, or everybody speaks like Chamorro in English, but learning different languages, it's a little bit of a problem, and understanding information especially, it's a big issue. So yeah, so I think the problem is not really coming here, because
Uh-huh.
there's the compact, the free association with the FSM and the FAS islands, FAS nations, but it's really coming to Guam, or to the island, to Guam or Hawaii or abroad, and then
Mhm.
getting informational or adapting to the life.
Um, this kind of reminds me of when Typhoon Marwar came through, and me and another organization and a lot of other volunteers, we were happy to help zero down. It was the first time I've seen those kind of conditions that are normal for people to live in, especially if they've migrated from FSM and other islands. And that was just so shocking to me. I was devastated that people lived like that. Do you feel like well, not only there's not enough resources right now that are properly going to people who need it, but do you think that maybe sometimes they're taken advantage of just because they weren't provided the sort of information that could help them better? So what I mean by that is, um, people said that when they got the land at zero down, they had to pay monthly. And while they did that, they also had to like build their house from scratch. And then once they pay off the land, that's when they own that piece of land. But it's still like a 30-year dream. And a lot of them end up staying in tin shacks with like no infrastructure, no connection to water or power. And that was so devastating to see. So I think my question was, do you think there's not enough education being presented to them, being shared with them before they get here?
Yeah, I think it's not really the education.
Mhm.
It'll be more of from knowing the community, and also coming from being a migrant myself, right?
Right.
There's this there's this way of thinking, like back home
Hmm.
is the luxury of having like a house. It's a blessing, right? To have a roof over your head, to have
Right.
a table is a big blessing. So in some in in the standards of like moving abroad to Guam, in the lens where they see, if you have, from the community's perspective, like if I have a roof on top of my head, if I have a place to sleep or the place to eat, I'm good, because that's how it is back in the islands, right? You could be
Okay.
living in a tin house and you're good, and then you come to Guam, the standards is a little bit more higher, where like you have like a couch or cemented ground or cemented roof, and
Hmm.
then those are you will move from a category from a substandard housing to a good housing where you have infrastructure, right? So
Right.
I think it's the humbleness at the same time of back home. It's it's pretty normal just to stay in a shack. It's you're happy, you're good, you live off the land, you live off the ocean, you're pretty much happy, you don't have to go to work. I mean, you just work at the farm and you go to fish, you go fishing, so life is pretty good. And then you come to the to like Guam or Hawaii or the States, where standard of living is a little bit different. It's something that they're still learning to adapt to, or they're like, oh, this is how I live back home. I could live like this. I'm good. I'm happy. But actually, when like when people, other members of different communities will come to that community, and they're like, oh, this is how they live. It's different because it's the standard of them
Right.
migrating to the island of Guam, and then they're like, oh, this is the standard of back home. I think it's okay that I'm happy, I'm good, I have a family, but it's actually not good. So, it's more of being humble, I guess, where they come from, and to also, I think what you were also asking is, or stating, is about educating them to move from that standard to another standard of like building infrastructures, right? So I think it's not really education, but I think it's lack of resources of helping that community, of
Mhm.
getting, either some of them maybe not have uh like a stable job, or they don't have they don't have the that enough help to get them, kickstart them from on their back on their feet, right? Example, like I always hear that the infrastructure there is not really good. Like there's no sewage is really limited, or water source really limited in certain island parts of Guam. So I
Mhm.
think this is a kickstart of helping them to build to that standard. It's gonna be very beneficial to them in so many ways.
Thank you so much. And thank you for just answering it so kindly and from your own personal perspective and from your family. And I hope my question or my own cultural shock didn't come off as like offensive or insensitive. Feel like this might be a reiteration, but I'd love to just hear more of your answers. What are the barriers when it comes to helping your clients with climate change? Are there any barriers other than language?
I was thinking language was on top of my head the whole
I'm
time,
so
but
sorry.
no, no, I think, because of course with language, also it comes with education, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people are still aware of, like if you burn plastic, it causes a lot of, chemicals going up to the or ozone layer.
Right.
There's like if not enough planting could cause like landslides and all that stuff. So I think education is very important. Um, I hope, I'm not so sure if it's already part of like the education system here on Guam public schools, to teach more about like, how can we be environmental steward to our island. But I know that there are some programs that they do that.
Hello? Oh man, it's paused.
Elders, when it comes to the elders. Oh,
Oh no,
can
we're
you hear
good
me?
now. But I just want to let you
Okay,
know
yeah.
we have 9 minutes and
Okay.
thank you so much for your time. But I still wanted to like hear what you had to say.
Okay. Yeah, so I was talking about education with the elders, or those that are maybe adults or parents, ways for reaching out to them, and then educating, or sharing more information about climate change, and how they could be more into like environmental stewards to the island.
Okay. Is it difficult to ask incoming migrants to be environmentally conscious and environmentally aware when in reality, this is the sort of demographics and people that are not causing a lot of the destruction and they're really just trying to survive and make it here? Do you, what do you feel the narration
Mhm.
is on that?
That yeah, that's very true. Right, in the perspective of like the islands that are causing less pollution, but there's still some pollution that they cause. So I think it's better to be inclusive and just include them into, these are the things that are causing the reason why the families are migrating is to pollution. So it's also, I guess, just be inclusive and to include them in teaching the different ways of being environmental stewards, and what are the major cause of environmental pollution, or being I think it's they will be interested because of course when it comes to typhoon, it affects all the islands before it comes to Guam too, right? So, or it could start from Pohnpei, or start from Chuuk. So things like that. It's just good to be inclusive. Yeah.
Thank you so much. When you think of regional organizations working together to keep people informed about changing environment around them, are there any quick fixes that you can think of?
Quick fixes. Yeah, I think it's sharing all the for regional, sharing all the different struggles that they're sharing. Because example, I was talking about RMI, right, in Marshall Islands, where the islands are sinking.
Mhm.
Maybe some of the communities from different part of the Micronesian are not experiencing that. Maybe some it's more of like trash polluting the
Okay.
the polluting the what I call the mangrove area, or it could be coral bleaching. I think it's collaborating and sharing those struggles will also help them of being aware of, oh, they're also struggling, but in a different way of struggling, but they're struggling under the same it's under the same of environmental danger, right? Of same struggle in some sense. So I think it's to collaboration is very important to talk about the different struggles. Maybe
Mhm.
some of the different places are experiencing the same thing and they're doing something different than what they're doing. So it will help them. So quick fixes could be just, I think, communication in so many ways, having like meetings where everybody comes together from Micronesia or from Pacific, and they do. I know that there's already already conferences that happens like this, right? But like
Right.
more of a small one of focusing here on Micronesia or in Pacific.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm.
Um, Thank you so much for just answering all of my questions and then just bringing more perspectives on this sort of issue and just making it more inclusive so we can meet these needs as soon as possible, especially from the bottom up and the top down, and just like
Mhm.
getting in all different areas. And because you are
Of
just
course, not a problem at all.
thank you so much, because you're on the ground and you're in the office, you're seeing the community directly, and you're doing the work that affects them short term and long term. So everything that you're saying is just so highly valuable. And I want other people to hear this sort of work so they can know how important it is for individual impact and how it creates such a big collaborative ripple effect.
Thank you for this opportunity for to share my so these are just my perspective. It may be not what the organization think, but it's dear to my heart because of the work that we do is to help our the migrant community on Guam, especially those that want to call Guam their home, just where I come from. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for me to share my perspective, what I think, especially what I feel. It comes from my heart. So I thank you for this opportunity for me to talk to you about this. So yeah, thank you.
Feels so good. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and Happy New Year's. I'm so grateful you made it this far. So for extra resources, please go into the description for access for the reflection questions I've asked throughout the podcast. I hope it is of great value to you and I hope you enjoy it. Esta.